You know what? The title is an understatement. I'm struggling to find a game that is as underappreciated as Tomb Raider Underworld seems to be. It's more like Tomb Raider Underground because it's literally buried under a gaming ground. Nobody talks about it. I've seen and heard many praises and passages dealt for Tomb Raider Legend and Anniversary, but not a single soul mentioned Underworld. Ever. Is it for a good reason because the game is a supposed sack of shit? Or by the cruel twist of fate it went on a pilgrimage to oblivion? What do you think? You think it's time to blow the dust away and dive deep to see what this game is hiding underneath its bonnet? Okay then, let's put it under the magnifying glass and see what's what. To be honest, I've seen some comments on my previous Tomb Raider works that some of you are curious to know what's my take on the Underworld, and some of you have said various things about it, mostly that is very interesting story-wise. Well, I haven't played Underworld before, so it's gonna be my first time playing it for this video. Back then, in the year 2008, I wasn't really into gaming and let alone into Tomb Raider anymore. PlayStation 3 would gather dust, while I would rather go out and be social and all that jazz. All in all, this means that my judgment about Tomb Raider Underworld should be devoid of past playthroughs that would steer my lines of thoughts away from the place called objectivity. Without the clouds of nostalgia obscuring it all, I should be able to see the clear sky that is pure first impressions of the game. At least I think so. But before I start talking about the game, I'd like to point out that I've done several videos about the games other than Tomb Raider ones, and if you haven't already, I would appreciate if you could see them and tell me what you think, because in the future I'd love to expand this channel a bit more since there are literally hundreds of games that I would share my thoughts on. But the YouTube algorithm kinda buried them, so yeah, watching them would help me a lot, thank you. Now on to the Tomb Raider Underworld. As far as I've gathered, the development of Tomb Raider Underworld was happening alongside Anniversary, so there was a shortage of stuff at Crystal Dynamics working on it. Hell, the planning of the game was in motion as Tomb Raider Legend was in its final production stages, so you could say that people in Crystal Dynamics were overly ambitious in creating 3 games in parallel at some point. Now, that's crazy. Working on the next-gen Lara Croft offering spelled lots of troubles in the vein of using the new engine with all of the new code written from scratch rather than implementing reused Legend code. Adapting to the new tech was surely hard. Remember this monstrosity of a microprocessor design overkill? It gave hell to lots of inexperienced developers who would rather port games to Xbox 360. PlayStation 3 was just a tough beast to tame. Original lead level designer Kyle Manneberg died during the development of Underworld, so it was a huge setback to the already short-staffed team, and some of the ambitious sections of the game like the sinking ship were almost cut out due to being too hard to create. When asking the original developers for their thoughts about the game, one word seems to pop out very often, and that's miracle. Because it was a pure miracle to pull such a game with such ambition in such a short notice under the given conditions. Lara's moveset was slightly changed. For the first time in the series, the motion capture technology was used to record the moves and it shows. Lara moves more realistically when she jumps or performs some of the new moves such as so-called free climbing, like in these examples. Everything seems faster. This time her acrobatic skill seems to be expanded and improved since she can walk on horizontal poles and jump from one to another. She can even climb up to these narrow ledges so she can jump further on from them. And what about this wall jumping parkour style? When you can't seem to find a way to traverse the level, always look for the suspiciously close opposing walls. Jumping onto them might be the way to go, but the way she dies isn't improved at all. Just look at this mess. The ways she crushes the walls with her body is downright morbidly laughable and insane at the same time. But as usual, please, be advised not to do this at home. Could be fatal for your limbs, body, health, etc. No checkpoints for you in real life, my friend. When it comes to shooting, everything is pretty much the same as before, but this time, if you use pistols or Uzis, Lara is able to lock on 2 enemies with each gun respectively, so you can shoot both of them at once. Of course, this means that the duration of enemies taking damage is doubled, but that's understandable and it's a cool feature. You can choose between several weapons, such as the aforementioned Uzis, assault rifle, spear gun, tranquilizer gun, and so on. But I personally didn't deviate too much from using regular pistols and Uzis here and there. And why is that? Well, because enemies are easy. Or should I say, the entire game is easy. No matter what enemy you encounter during the game, they're all easy to deal with. You will have human enemies on the ship and on some of the locations. Guns and occasional sticky grenades will do the trick like this just fine. By the way, as you can see, this game sure had a trouble development that even dead bodies would refuse to fall on the ground. Such shameful and laughable deaths. Tigers and pumas, you say? No problem. Lots of jumping around and running while shooting and your guns will do the job just fine. These spiders with their sudden jumps could be a problem, but combining shooting and leg kicking will stun them just enough for you to kill them. I thought that the trolls will be tough enemies because they require your special move to shatter them apart, but not. They're also pretty much easy to kill. Occasional shooting and leg kicking combo with finishing blow sends them into the oblivion. See? Easy job. Also, near the end of the game, you acquire this beast of a weapon that acts pretty much as a cheat code. This hammer called Mjolnir, and its lightning hits will kill everything almost instantly. Look at this swarm of enemies. You would think, oh dear, I'm so fucking dead. But fret not, this hammer spells such a carnage. Look at these stupid sharks. No problem, let's stun them for eternity. Easy job. And to top it all off, this hammer doesn't spend anything so you can use it infinitely. Like I said, it's a cheat code. If you do manage to get yourself killed, and let's be real, it's possible, the checkpoints will help. Just like in the Legend or in the Anniversary, they are set in many logical points, so it's not really punishing to die in this game. There aren't even that many medipacks in the game, to be honest. It's like the developers themselves realized it's not worthy to have them. It's easier to die and to have the health replenished by respawning at the checkpoint. So here's the top tip for you. When necessary, just get yourself killed. In the game, of course. But as usual, don't do this in real life. Real life doesn't have checkpoints. You can't respawn yourself at will, but you can cross the bridge to the other side. Uncharted side of life and death, Junior. Let's talk about the story. The story in Underworld continues where Legend left off. The quest for Lara's mother Amelia continues. She should be trapped in the mythical realms of Avalon, and it's up to Lara to find further clues as where to go next. And that means another globe-trotting adventure, which is something that we all like. I mean, at least I like it. Raiding some obsolete ruins full of traps and platforming extravaganza is something that always ticks the right boxes in my gaming mental to-do list. Unlike all of the Tomb Raider games preceding it, Underworld uses this in medias res way of conveying the story. You're thrown into what happens to be Croft Manor engulfed in flames. What the hell happened here? And after you manage to get through the flames to see Zip, he shoots at you? Now wait a minute, this is enough to pop many question marks over your head. And then the story goes 1 week back in time. So now we have a concrete motivation to play the game just to see who or what set the manor on fire. And why is Zip trying to kill Lara? Zip, why you do this? Along the way you'll encounter your frenemy Amanda on several occasions. Will these two ever make amends for what has happened before during the Legend story? Well, they might or they might not. I don't know if I feel like spoiling this game too much, but I'm gonna spoil this though. Natla is here again. How the hell did she survive the fall of Atlantis is beyond me. But this time, she looks rather good. With this appearance, she looks like a sexy bitchy doctor that will probably strap you tight in the bed and perform the surgical lacerations on you without anesthesia, shouting, "Hey, shut up, you unsavory little runt! Take it like a man!" Anyways, what's her story here? Well, that's a spoiler too, but you can already guess that she's still up to no good. Anyways, enough about that. I wanna talk about levels and the atmosphere of the game a bit. I just don't know what has happened in the minds of the Crystal Dynamics devs, because I want it to happen to me too. These minds have conveyed some of the greatest looking atmospheric levels in the LAU trilogy. Well, I think some of these levels I'm about to mention are so good that they can rival the old school Quintology games. Whoa, is this a bold statement? Well, it might be, but I was more than pleasantly surprised at what I was about to witness in this game. From the first moment you jump into the Mediterranean Sea to dive down, the sheer length of the underwater descent is awesome. I was scared that I was going to run out of breath, but there was no air gauge, so I was all set for the exploring of the submerged ruins. Just look how pretty it all looks. Since Tomb Raider Underworld relies heavily on the various mythologies, it won't be long until you stumble upon this big octopus creature called what? In the butt. Yeah, that's right, it's Kraken. Is this already a boss battle happening so soon? Well, turns out it's not. See this big spiked platform above its head? Can you see it? Well, through some platforming and breaking of the chains, we need to land that platform onto its head to kill it. So it's more like a platforming puzzle than a proper battle against this giant squid. I've also realized how short some of the levels are. So this ordeal with the Kraken would be level called Niflheim. And as soon as you kill it and pass through the door, which is a matter of several minutes of play, to go deeper into the dungeon, that's already another level called the Norse Connection. Why so short? I was just getting warmed up. Oh well, whatever. Digging some more and eventually Lara will find this Nintendo Power Glove going under the name of Thor's Gauntlet. This Power Glove will grant her inhuman abilities such as moving big stones, doors and whatnot. That's cool, but I guess the batteries go dry pretty fast in these ancient tech thingies. See what I mean? A few pushes and now it's not working? Huh, now it's like a real power glove. That crappy ass gadget never worked properly anyways. So realistic. Also, I think the new thing is backtracking. Once you finish the raid and you find what you're looking for, you need to go back out of the dungeon or temple or certain ruin. To be honest, I don't like it. I know it makes logical sense that if you arrive at a certain point on your boat or so, you should go back to the same boat once you finish your little excavation business. But it could be done via cutscene or something, right? Say that you agree with me on this one. You know you are. Anyways, enough of that. It's just that... why is this game receiving no love? I mean, like I said earlier, nobody seems to talk about the Underworld, let alone adore it, and they should. Check out the level called Realm of the Dead, when the ship starts to rotate and sink while Lara tries to escape. It's more like an Uncharted level rather than something Tomb Raider-ish, but you cannot deny the greatness in the action design. The way the gravity gradually shifts from the floor to the walls depending on the state of the ship rotation in real time is awesome. But this is just the beginning. Let me give you some proper Tomb Raider stuff. And that proper Tomb Raider stuff arrives immediately in the coastal Thailand section. Check this out now. This can almost rival the beginning of the coastal village in Tomb Raider 3. I guess there's something magical behind the word coastal. Except coastal ruins in the last revelation. Those back and forth level travels will ruin your will to live, trust me. Anyways, don't dive too much or the sharks will try to eat your ass. Check out the next level called Bogawati. Okay, Bogawati. Just look and marvel at this majestic big Shiva statue in the distance. And between Lara and the statue lies a big puzzle to be solved, coupled with lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of platforming. See this lens in each Shiva's hands and see these little statues down waiting to be moved? You can figure out in general what the game wants you to do. Yes, a little bit of optical physics with ray refraction on the lenses is essential Tomb Raider stuff. What I like about this level is that the invasion of enemies is minimal. It's all just Lara with her usual platforming, rope swinging, rope climbing and puzzle solving stuff. And all that is wrapped up in such a nice looking level that it's pleasing to look from every possible angle. What more do you want? More of that? Sure then, I'm gonna give it to you. What about Croft Manor? That's right. Did you know that it has a big crypt hidden underneath the grave of Lara's grandfather Richard James Croft Sr.? Well, now you do. This way of having a big dungeon underneath an already big level reminds me somewhat of St. Francis Folly. Okay, you do not have 4 rooms with traps to avoid just to get the 4 keys, but a script has its own fair share of puzzles to do in order to arrange these shapes on the angels on the wall up there to open the time door in between them. If this level becomes too dark for you, you can always turn Lara's flashlight on. It's a little gadget feature in this game that can be helpful in the dark areas of the game. The entire southern Mexico set of levels just oozes of the classic Tomb Raider feel. How can you not love that? Even this motorbike serves as a vehicle to ride around the section, just like a quad bike in Tomb Raider 3 or snowmobile in Tomb Raider 2. Not to do some chasing and shooting enemies in the process, just like in the Legend. This is more like the infamous Kairos section of the last revelation, but with a much better looking environment. Riding in the jungle coupled with the ancient Mayan ruins and ziggurats in the raining evening is just something else. Such a big fat thick layer of atmosphere that can only be cut with a knife of excitement and a strive for exploration to get through it. And here you go. Adjusting the Mayan calendars is a classic Tomb Raider moment if I ever saw one. In fact, you need to align 2 calendars in the Xibalba level just to open this giant passageway contraption thing whatever to enter this Midgard Serpent level. Don't worry, just when you think you're about to get the hang of it, this mechanism is a timed one, so you need to be quick on your bike. Oh yes, this is so Tomb Raiderish, and I love it. Almost every level contains a decent amount of platforming, but the crown jewel is this big-ass tower in the front of the Gate of the Dead. Just check that monstrosity out. If you don't have a problem with the timings of your jumps, it's not hard to grab moving ledges and poles to carry on with the climbing, but to align all parts will take some time, just because the tower is huge. And of course, you need to climb down once you reach the top, which doubles the time needed to clear it. How inconvenient, but hey, it's all about backtracking like I said before. So to offer a brief conclusion on the levels, I'd say that Crystal Dynamics got their mojo back and the levels are awesome. Each and every one is gorgeous and they offer a nice dose of classic Tomb Raider stuff for the player. It's just a shame that they are so short by design. It's possible to finish some of them within 15 minutes regardless of my crappy playing. Nevertheless, once again, levels look pretty, but we can also thank next-gen graphics and visuals for that. This may not be Uncharted 2 or Crysis level of visuals, but for the game of the year 2008, Tomb Raider Underworld looks amazing. What else is pretty, or should I say hot, in this game? Or who? Well, Lara Croft herself. Just look and marvel at her beauty. I think this Lara is the sexiest one in the entire franchise, and couple that with her British mannerism and overall badassery, you have a complete set. Too bad that the Underworld is the only instance in which Lara looks this good. Wanna compare her to the later offerings in the form of yet another reboot of the franchise? Yeah, no. Let's stop right there. This time, Lara has a habit of carrying her little camera with her to record her mumbling on certain events or reading the various inscriptions on the ancient walls. Turns out she can read or decipher just about any language on the fly. She can even piss Zip off by doing things he wouldn't do just because she can do it. So maybe that's why he was shooting at her. She can even somewhat negotiate a deal with Natla, even though we all know she'll need to reprimand that blonde lunatic for all eternity. I'd say that Lara Croft is a full fleshed out character in the best possible sense this time. She is still strong, independent and capable, but she's not a bitter bitch like in Chronicles or Angel of Darkness. Oh yeah, and even a doppelganger is here and she looks exactly like Lara Croft except the hair and eye color. What's up with her? Well, play the game and see for yourself. I'm not gonna spoil just everything, even though sometimes I have a nasty habit of doing such a thing. It's all cool and it seems like all of the important pieces are coming together nicely, but the shortness of the game means that you'll finish it pretty fast. Just when you think you're about to unfold some giant story that clocks more than 20 hours, you'd be dead wrong. You can slice that number in half easily. Well, there's this only one moment in the game that pissed me off, and once again, it's a spoiler. That's the moment when Lara finds her mother. That moment alone should be monumental, should be big, should be vast, should be great, should be the grand finale, should be, I don't know, majestic. It should be everything that it's not. It's absolutely not. When her mother turns around, she's a troll, and Lara needs to shoot her in self-defense. And it all looks so underwhelming that, I don't know, it could be a boss battle. Anything but that sad, pathetic cutscene. Speaking of boss battles, well, there's none. No bosses. A crucial staple of every Tomb Raider game is gone here. Every important enemy is dealt through cutscene, and that's it. But are these minor setbacks enough to deprive this game of love it desperately seeks? Absolutely not. I really like Underworld, and I have a feeling that under more favorable circumstances, Crystal Dynamics would spell out an even better game. After a long time comes the game that goes heavily into what makes Tomb Raider great, and nobody cares. Such a shame. I know it was a troubled time where Naughty Dog decided to invade the territory with their male version of Lara Croft, but still, Tomb Raider Underworld deserves some love from all of you. It's a really good game, and think of it this way. It was the last proper Tomb Raider game, and it was the last game released by Eidos until Square Enix came along for a ride. A special kind of a ride. When I started to play the game, I was slightly scared that the game would be a total mess, and I would soon dread the day I tried to play it, but that feeling was nowhere to be seen. I kept playing and the game kept growing on me more and more. Sure, the game didn't feel like the originals, but it's very close. If there was a way for Crystal Dynamics to make another Tomb Raider game in this way without rebooting the franchise again, I'm sure it would be the best in Legend series. Overall reception of the game back then was actually very favorable. All of the positives are the ones regarding the stuff I mentioned earlier. Naturally, only the combat and camera work could be better, but I guess it's the staple of the game. Nowadays, the game feels like some sort of a cult classic. Some of the fans of the franchise are either rediscovering it or finally playing it for the first time, like me. And most of them are usually coming to the same conclusion, that Tomb Raider Underworld is such an underrated game. Even by being very underrated, the game managed to squeeze 3.8 million copies sold across all platforms by the year 2021, which is not a bad number at all. But it was evident that the executives wanted bigger sales numbers or the franchise goes into the drawers of history. However, before I wrap this all up, there is one more thing that we can count as a setback that might ruin the overall positive experience of the game. That thing is story-driven DLCs exclusive only to the one platform. And that platform is Xbox 360. Since I played the PC version, there is no way to experience DLCs, which is a shame. This kind of exclusivity should be only cosmetic-based, not story-based. If there's a way to get them to work on the PC, let me know. I'd like to play them. Anyways, if you want to try Tomb Raider Underworld, always pick the next-gen version. And why is that? Because you don't want to be stranded on some remote vacant island with a crappy version of the game. No really, just look at this PS2 version. Mine. God, what the hell is that? Yep, that's the last-gen Underworld for you. Okay, that's it for now. It's time to end this video. I hope I didn't bore you to death and you liked what you see. So, until next time, stick around because there's gonna be more Tomb Raider for ya. And have a good one. Goodbye.